a growing wave of like frustration from number of people that I got the message from that they are currently in a job search mode, and common theme usually is that they are saying, ma'am, I've been applying to jobs, lot of jobs with no result. What I'm doing wrong? Okay. The actually the guys, the internet, okay, internet has completely transformed the job search, right? The whole landscape. So this means that an open position can easily generate far more applicants than companies have resources to review. Okay. As a corporate, recruiter, I post sometime, openings and receive hundreds of applications for entry level positions within a day. At any given time, I was recruiting for 15 to 25 roles, generating thousands of applications to track at once, including, the hiring managers, the gatekeepers. Main thing is for them is the ATC applicant tracking system slash bots, BOTS. So nearly 40 to 60% of employers use ATC to screen their candidates for their job openings. Okay. The applicant tracking systems save employers time by applying filters, parsing every resume submitted, and forwarding only the most relevant or qualified candidates to a hiring manager who are looking to hire for that position. So the technology uses both the way of the resume, how it's written, and the information in it, to include for the hiring manager to decide if this candidate is the right fit. So when we apply for a job online, resume will likely to be scanned by ATC before reaches to the actual human being. An applicant, ATC system, which is again applicant tracking system, it immediately scans the resume for terms and keywords that match those used in the job descriptions. Okay. So you are applying for a producer role or a digital content role, right? If your resume include these words, the digital and content creator, along with other requirement for the role, the system will likely pass your application on to a real person. If your current job role is listed as, editorial or production executive, with other irrelevant or mismatched information, your resume may be rejected. So, of course, not all systems are so unforgiving, but some ATC brands are better equipped to take, synonymous into account. The problem is older exact match system. There's no sure, fire way to check whether your prospective employer uses an ATC or which kind, but it's safe to assume that they do. So how do you adjust your resume so applicant tracking software won't sort you, out of that pool, right? So two things you should check before applying are your keywords and your fonts. Make sure your keywords are legitimate, relevant, and are in context. Okay. When ATC searches the skills and experience section of your resume for certain keywords, the matches need to be nearly exact. That's why I recommend applicants have multiple, either resumes or tailored to the specific jobs they are applying to. Incorporating relevant keywords from each job post, expect duties, responsibilities, and skill sections that you can speak to, in a phone screen or in person interview. Okay. And it's obvious, guys, to recruiters when you lifted keywords from the posting without tying them to your demonstrated accomplishments. Take the necessary time, no matter how tired you are of applying, to various positions, to understand that job description in its entirely and how your background applies. Okay. Which will distinguish your qualities, aptitude, and characteristics, give you that competitive edge from other candidates in the pool. So you are certain not the only candidate applying keywords from your job description. So take the time to tie them to why you are the best candidate for that role. Okay. And additionally, when describing your current and past role, take care that your bullet points are achievement oriented and you're indicating your specific impact through percentage and metrics. Okay. It's not you, it's your font. So in addition to getting blocked by tech that's fuzzy about matching keywords and different titles, um, your resume may get lost in the pile. Okay, I'm being honest. And in the pile because you used a certain font. Some applicant tracking system have trouble reading, serif font or sometimes even Times New Roman or Cambria. Okay, so serif fonts have small, they are like small tails on their letters. So sans serif fonts, they do not have tails and therefore are more cleaner looking and easier to read. That's why the basic typographic basics, help you to understand some basic of typography before picking a font and formatting your resume. Right? So what we generally call a font, that's actually a typeface which refer to a family of fonts. Okay. A font is a size. Let me repeat that again. A font is the size and weight of the typeface. That means that Times New Roman is a typeface. 12-point Times New Roman that's in bold is a font. So the distinction, it doesn't matter much in digital age, but it's helpful to know that you have a choice with the typeface. Okay. For instance, Robot, a typeface that Google developed for mobile use comes in thin, light, normal, medium, bold, or black varieties. Correct? So the best resume font, the best resume fonts is there's a psychology to fonts that allow you to control some of the perception a reader might have about you based on your resume. While I recommend specific typeface below, like, you generally safe sticking to fonts that are available on most word processing. Okay, most word processing, those are in the programs like not just Microsoft Word, but it's also easy to read. Okay, and then sometime I get the question that you guys say that should Ruby ma'am, should I use serif or sans serif font for my resume? If you're applying for highly compliant, regulated, or formal field, serif is the way to go. Okay, serif fonts are perceived as reliable and traditional, lending an air of authority. Okay, as I covered before, that there is a difference between serif or sans serif, right? We covered that earlier. But use this to your advantage if you're working in a finance, law, or science. You are applying to the companies with long history and formal structure. Best serif font for resume is Cambria, Garamond, Georgia, Palatino, right? These are like a serif. It comes under the serif family. Let me repeat that again. Cambria, Garamond, Georgia, and Palatino. It comes under the serif font family. So if you're working in a tech or creative field, sans serif is good fit for your resume. Sans serif fonts are perceived as a modern and more clean. They simply uh, it's like they're like implying innovation and simplicity. Okay, the best sans serif fonts for resume is you can use Arial, you can use Calibri, you can use Helvetica, you can use Tahoma, you can use Verdana, right? These comes all under sans serif family. Okay, let me repeat that. Sans serif family is more fonts, they are more perceived as a modern and clean, and they imply innovation and simplicity, which comes under sans serif family is Arial, Calibri, Helvetica, Tahoma, and Verdana. While you are at it, you might want to make sure your bullet points are perfectly round. Okay, opt for circle shaped symbols or something similar. Okay, uh, avoid using arrows or other intricate symbols for your bullet point, as many ATS systems have trouble translating them. Okay, and make sure, which I covered in before too, like always save your resume as a Word document file, which is .docx or .doc. Okay, or if you want to you can also use PDF format. But the bottom line, guys, don't lose sight of your end goals, impressing the HR, your hiring manager. If you make it past the system, a person will read your resume, and that person, not the system, is who ultimately decide, right, whether you get hired or not. Okay, so I hope this helps, guys. Okay, um, working in the system to your advantage, and putting some of the human element back in your job search process. Okay, um, so these are the points that you should keep it in mind. What kind of font, what kind of family under those fonts are useful to you. okay, and what kind of, you know, best font for your resume, and how you choose type and size. Okay. So you should also consider that, what kind of fonts and size are best, because under fonts and size options, there's so many options available. Determine best font for your resume can sometimes be difficult decision, that which will fit best font. When an employer first read your resume, okay, they will typically scan for briefing 20 to 30 seconds. Recruiters and hiring managers spend countless hours every week, okay, skimming through those constant flow of resume sent to them. Selecting font and size that's simply and easy to read is the key to making a good first. Making a good first impression, because many companies, they use HR software platforms to streamline hiring and onboarding process on, because one type of HR software called applicant tracking system, it affect your chance of getting an interview for your desired role. Okay, understanding that these programs that can help you submit application material that meet employer standard and needs. Okay, so you have to know how you can optimize your resume, okay, to ensure that it gets to a hiring manager. Okay, then we say, what is an applicant? As I explained earlier, that ATS TS, applicant tracking system, that it's a software uh, that employers use during the recruitment or hiring process. Okay, it collects, sort, and ranks the resume and the company receive for that open role. Okay, when you apply for a position with a company, your resume may not go directly to the hiring manager. Okay, uh, in this day and age, it goes first pass, it has to pass through the ATS system, and the software helps streamline their resume review process. It collects information about each candidate based on their resume, that organizes them based on their experience and the skill sets that will, match the job, performance. So this step enables recruiters and hiring managers to filter their pool for the most qualified candidates. So, it's, as I said, it's filter the pool for the most qualified candidates. So you would ask, Mr. Ruby, why they even use the ATS system? Guys, that because the hiring manager and the recruiters may receive hundreds of applications, right, during the hiring process. An applicant tracking system help these professionals to collect essential information about the candidate and organize everything in one place. They may use this information to manage other hiring process activities, such as scheduling or interviewing or performing or reference background checks, right? And completing necessary paperwork, because they have to go, it has to, in order to get that profession, you have to pass all of that, right? So utilizing applicant tracking system software it can benefit organizations in numerous ways, right? Because they can streamline the application process, because the ATS system, it collects and organizes candidates' applications automatically, saving hiring managers and recruiters valuable time. They can then use the ATS as database to search for the access potential candidates. Okay, they can also use this system for filtering potential candidates, right? Uh, so by filtering potential candidates, ATS, the software, it can also help hiring managers and recruiters, okay, filter their candidates by setting minimum requirements like years of experience, education, right? What is their educational background, or particular skills that needed for that job. So this function saves the hiring manager time by isolating candidates who meet that qualification. Okay? And then they also do source candidate, right? Sourcing candidate mean because the ATS act as candidate database, organizations can identify high quality candidates who have shown interest in the company. When hiring for another position, the hiring manager or recruiters can look at extensive candidates in their database who might be good fit for the job. Okay, and enable help them it enable better tracking, right? Organizations can use that software, the ATS software, to identify where candidates found their job posting. If they identify a popular source of strong candidates like a particular job board, or they can focus on their efforts if candidates are finding a jobs in that on the job board, right? So how applicant tracking system work? Okay, when you apply for a job, guys, the information and application material you provide get uploaded into database through the applicant tracking system. This information may include your contact details, educational background, professional experience, correct? It also include like materials such as your resume, your cover letter, right? So sometimes hiring manager and recruiters can manage hiring process from within the system, such as contacting candidates to let them know their applications was received, sending them any necessary assessment or test, and scheduling interviews. Okay, because as mentioned earlier, like I mentioned to you guys, that ATS stores information and materials and enable hiring managers to search for the review, and they review the candidates, for the review of the candidates. So most ATS software enables these professionals to conduct these process using several methods, including viewing applications. Hiring managers and recruiters can still choose to review applications themselves through their ATS software. If they have many applications to go through, these professionals may look at these materials briefly to assess candidates' relevant skills or experiences and other qualifications. Okay. So searching for the keywords that, hiring managers can use, through the keyword search, through the application stored with their ATS software. They often use keywords pulled from job description, focus on particular skills, your job title, experiences, or your responsibilities. So, this method enables these professionals to filter for candidates who share alignments with the job description and the employer's established requirement or preferences. Okay, so ranking candidates automatically, the ATS software, it can also rank candidates by comparing their applications, all the material to the job requirement. Hiring managers and the recruiters can use this method to focus on the candidate who rank highest and demonstrate strong alignment with the job description and necessary qualifications. Okay, so your job is to, when you presenting those resume, that it has to make sure that your job is at this point is to that your resume has passed through the test of applicant tracking system, ATS system, that most companies use nowadays. Okay, your resume may need to pass an applicant tracking system before even reaching to the hire manager. You can use, like, make sure that that is ensuring the software can read, organize your information correctly. Okay, and follow. Another point is follow your employer's instructions. Some employers provide specific instructions for job applicants. Often they may ask for particular documents along with instructions on how to submit those documents. For example, they may ask applicants to send their resume and cover letter in PDF format. Okay, so you follow that instructions. If you submit another file format, the tracking system may have difficulty reading them accordingly. Okay, and it won't read accurately also, because the instructions were the PDF format. Okay, so when the employer does not provide formatting instructions, consider using docx format. Right, I covered that before, over and over. The ATS software typically find it easily to read this file type, following the instructions provide to you, to avoid any issue moving, move your material for the to go to the hiring manager's hands. So how can you incorporate those keywords in your resume that match your skills for that job? Okay, you can always optimize your resume and other application material for ATS system, okay, by incorporating those keywords from that job description, right, that match your skills. And after reviewing the job description carefully, you can write down a list of keywords that align with your professional experience and qualifications. Often these keywords represent hard skills sought by employer, but may also refer to your educational background, prior work experience, correct? Personal traits. So to pass that ATS, the application tracking system, try to use the words or phrases that used in the posting, but make sure those are the skills you can perform. Okay,
You can use as many keywords or phrases as possible to demonstrate your alignment with that position. You do not necessarily know which keywords the hiring manager or the recruiter will focus on. So having more can help you cover multiple bases. Okay. However, only use those that are accurate and relevant to your professional experience. Remember, earlier I mentioned it so many times that you can those skills only use those skills that you can perform, right? And you have experience in that professional experience in those skills. So employers use this information to access candidates and may test these skills or ask about them during the interview process. You might have to go through the testing. Okay. So what are the main keywords or acronyms, right, and long form terms you should use on your resume? Because many industries, guys, many industries use acronyms to describe common process and skills. And the ATS, applicant tracking systems, or hiring manager and recruiters may reach for these keywords using either the acronyms of the term it represents. You can use both form throughout your resume to make sure the ATS system adds a qualification to your profile. For example, like job description may seek candidates with search engine optimizations, SEO, right, experience. So in your resume, you can use both terms by writing something like, you can write, let's say, you can write like utilize search engine, optimization techniques, SEO, right, to improve organic traffic to the website, right, company's website, or your personal website, business website, correct? So use simple formatting while incorporating items such as tables, charts, headers, footers, right, may make your resume easier or more engaging to the reader, correct? They can cause issue with the applicant tracking system, but complex formatting may be difficult for this software to read and organize information. It potentially is affecting your documents, performed during this process. So using a simple standard resume format can ensure the ATS system understanding your relevant qualifications. Okay, your resume should have clearly defined sections, right? That's the main goal, correct? The main goal is that your resume should have clearly defined sections, correct? To ensure the ATS organizes, your information correctly and accurately. Okay. And always avoid, like I said earlier, always avoid complex formatting, like headers, different kind of footers or borders or charts or tables or symbols, correct? So you choose, like we covered earlier, right, under the resume sections. Yeah, if you haven't watched those videos, please go back and watch those. They are very informational videos. Okay, so like I covered in the chronological resume format, right? That format emphasizes the work history by listing your prior experience to reverse chronological order, right? This because the information appears towards the top of your document, typically below your contact information or resume, objective or summary section, correct? So while there are two other typical resume formats, functional or combination or chronological, is often most compatible with the applicant tracking system. Okay, while this format prioritizes your work history, a functional focuses on your skills. Candidates often use, function resume when they have less relevant professional experience or they have employment gaps. Correct? We also covered, consider your font size earlier, right? We covered on that too. Remember the sans serif and the serif fonts? Yeah. So these are the main points, I would say, that you should be using for the ATS, okay? The application tracking system. So tailor your resume for a job. When applying for a job, tailor your resume, your cover letter to each opportunity. Even if you apply for similar positions at multiple companies, the requirements and responsibility may vary. Read each job description, read it thoroughly, carefully, to determine the keywords and qualification you need to incorporate into your resume. Using terms that align with specific job description can help you pass applicant tracking system and show why you are a good match for that role, right? So make sure you keep all of that in your mind, when you're applying for the job, that it passed through the ATS system, that your resume passed through the ATS systems, okay? Because when you apply for the job, your resume might go, when they go through that, to reaching to the hiring manager, correct? Because that's a component of effective and efficient hiring practice for tracking system, to review your resume and accept candidates who seem to be most qualified for the role based on that certain criteria. So it's important to learn how to navigate a tracking system to get your resume to that hiring manager so they can decide whether to schedule an in-person interview with you, right? So, and always the best practice, as I've been through, that best practice is to increase your chance to getting that hired for that job role, is you need to first make sure that the resumes pass through the ATS system, and your resume go to the hiring manager's hand, right? Because number one, I would say that only apply for the jobs you qualify for, okay? Be selective about the jobs you apply for at one company, okay? Use relevant keywords, which we covered earlier, right? Connect your keywords to unique experiences, okay? Include a skills section, correct? Use basic and simple language. Write out acronyms, correct? We covered up that too, correct? So submit a tailored resume for each job that you are applying for, and keep it simple, guys. Simplicity is the best answer for everything in life. That's my experience. So keep your resume simple. Use basic formatting, okay? Don't put like extra borders or tables or all those bells and whistles, correct? Simple. Submit the right type of file. Like if the company is, remember we covered on that, if the company is hiring, that only they will accept in PDF format, make sure you put PDF format. Okay, and then update your information online. Yeah, include referrals in your application. Correct. Apply for, when you're applying for the job that you qualify, that's the easiest way to make it through the applicant tracking system, is to apply for the jobs you qualify for. Otherwise it will reject your application. Okay, because by submitting application for the job that match your work history, your education, your skills, your experience, should naturally appeal to the tracking system. Correct. So it's not spitting out your resume out to the trash bin. Correct. It has to match. Correct. So be selective about the jobs you apply for at one company. Make sure that that hiring manager can log into that ATS system, okay, at any time to sort through the submitted resume. They can also, because they can see it, correct, they can see how your application history include how many active applications you have at their company. They can see and view it, right? So because when the applications comes to me, I can see that, okay, this individual, this candidate, he applied for this position, this position, this, you can apply. There's no like limit for it, how many jobs or how many positions you can apply, or how many positions you qualify for, because we can see everything. Correct. So the history, the applicant's history, we can see all through the positions you applied for. Of course we can see how many applicants are there or how many applications you applied for. Correct. So it's better to remain selective about the jobs you apply for, to show hiring manager how serious you are about that right position. Correct. And use relevant keywords. Remember we covered up that. Correct. Look for the job posting and use the same keywords in your applications in a way that naturally highlight your overall experience, your overall skills. Okay, consider looking up similar job to get ideas for other terms. You can include that the interest of the applicant tracking system for the hiring manager. Right. So to determine the most important keywords, make a note of specific software education or certification or methodologies that job posting mention. Correct. And connect your keywords to your unique experience. Correct. Because you have to perform the job, you have to perform those skills. The applicant tracking system is more likely to send your resume through if there are enough mentions of certain keywords relevant to the position, but hiring manager want to see how those keywords connect to your real skills. Okay. And if you have experience in that field, so think about your unique job history and concisely explain how it make you the perfect candidate for that position. Right. include skill section. Skill section is your chance to include relevant keywords in another location of your resume, correct? Especially for assets that didn't naturally fit into your work history section, including a skill section with keywords. It make it easier to scan your applications for the terms the hiring manager is looking for. Okay? So because it may be tempting to use sections, headers that are little less traditional, especially if you're applying for uh, I would say creative role or want to show your personality, correct? But using uncommon, right? It make sure that it match for the job, the creative role you know you are applying for. If you're applying for marketing or if you're applying for some graphic job, right, then you can show your personality in that. But using uncommon language on resume can confuse the ATS system, right? So make sure it match with the job qualification. Okay, use basic language and terms that are easy to understand and mimic how you would address your qualification during an in-person interview. Okay, write out those acronyms, right? Depending on that ATS system settings, it may either search for acronyms or written out phrases. It's more likely going to look for long form of terms or phrases, but its best practice is to include both. For example, you could say something like experiencing in SEOs, right? Then you would say, okay, Miss Ruby, what is SEO? SEO is, guys, it's a search engine optimization that we use for the website. Either you are, if you're making, websites for the organizations or for your personal business, correct? That you have experience in the SEO field. That's called, uh, so if you are applying for that kind of position, technical or uh, website designer position, then of course you will use this word, right? Acronym. So submit a tailored resume if you applying for different jobs according to the each job, guys. If two positions you are applying for are very similar, you should tailor your resume for each one. The job descriptions are likely to vary from each other in some way. To use any differences you find to make sure your resume more specific to each job. The companies are different as well, correct? Take the time to visit each company website to get an idea of their values and their business and values and goals that match with your skills and would match with your values also, right? Because it's not, otherwise it's not going to be a win-win situation, right? Someone will lose in that if it doesn't match, the values doesn't match. So you can then incorporate what you learned you know throughout your experiences into your resume and your cover letter to stand out, right? Research about that company and make sure, keep your resume simple, guys. Simplicity is the best, is the key. You may want to create a resume that is graphically enhanced, especially if you're applying for, like I said earlier, graphic design position. But it's best to keep it as simple as possible, because an interesting looking resume may be attractive to the hiring manager, but you need to make sure that it also passed the ATS system, because that's how the applicant tracking system work. And those bells and whistles is not gonna go through the ATS system. It won't even reach there, because those ATS system, they have a hard time, processing complicated resume. It's not understanding those bells and whistles. It won't go through. It may place the content in wrong place, right? And then that's it. You're out. Correct? So use basic formatting. Consider using universal basic font throughout your resume. Correct? And also such as Arial, Times New Roman, or Georgia. Also, intent of charts or graphic elements, use bullet points, bolded or underlined words to bring attention to something specific only, right? Remember we covered on the fonts before? What kind of fonts you should use. You can go back to the previous videos and check that. Okay. Submit the right type of file. After completing your resume, it's important to pay attention to how the job portal tells you to submit it, especially if you need to ensure that you are using an acceptable file type. If you submit any other type of file than what the tracking system is searching for, it's less likely to read it accurately or even at all, or even throw into different wrong bin. Okay, so even if there are many acceptable types, try to upload only, if they are looking for PDF format, if they are looking for docx format. Okay, use that what they are looking for. Okay, although both are common, PDF and the docx, the applicant tracking system typically find it easier to read docx resume, okay, unless it is specified in the job description that use the PDF format. Then it will go only PDF format. So consider using this file, this docx, most of the time, if you can. Always update, information. Make sure that your information online is correct, because some applicant tracking system do more than search the resume you submitted. They may also search the web for any information. Make sure that it all matches. Keep your online profile up to date to make sure application your application is more than complete. Okay, include referrals in your application. Referrals have always been an important part of getting a job. Hiring manager, they want to hear directly from someone who knows you and can vouch for your work ethics. During the online application, there's often a section that asks if the current employer of the company has referred you to this role. If this is the case, remember to put your friends or colleagues' name there, okay, to increase your chance of making it through the applicant tracking system. Okay, because some companies even have employee referral system that can move your applications straight through the ATS or hiring manager. So you should use this to your advantage if you have a contact, within that organization. Okay. So hope this helped, guys. We covered a lot for all the basics of ATS, uh, applicant tracking system. What are the best practice for for your resume to go through an applicant tracking system, right? I covered a lot of points on that. Take notes of it. You can watch this video over and over, again. This is coming from someone who knows, who do this kind of work, right? So I just want to make sure that you all know when you're applying for a job towards your successful career. Okay? Hope all is well, and talk to you soon. Again, this is Ruby Kaur with Jobs and Career Advice. See you soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye. All the best. Bye-bye.